Welcome back, everybody, to the Salt Lake City franchise here on MLB The Show 25. 38-52, we are in the middle of Season 4, around the halfway mark. And here is kind of the progress we've had in this series. We are 26th in batting average, and we started out Season 1 30th, Season 2 29th. We are up to 26th. We still aren't hitting home runs as we would like and slugging as we would like. We are 30th in home runs, 28th in slugging. And offense has really been the toughest part to really build, especially with a small market budget. You really have to develop guys. But I want to say our defensive improvement has been pretty underrated. We are 20th in errors, and we were dead last year. Fielding percentage, we were dead last too, and we are 19th. So we are improving defensively, which is pretty awesome. And then on the mound, we were 15 ERA last year. We are 13th this year. I mean, we are getting better with our young pitchers, along with, obviously Brandon Woodruff, who is the veteran leader on this squad. And then hits allowed. We are still up there at 17th, right in the middle of the league, which is very, very impressive for a team that's been rebuilding for the last few years. But we're not really a strikeout team. We are dead last in strikeouts. This episode, we will get to the draft. That will be later on. But I do want to focus in on, our prospects we've drafted so far. Enrique Reyes has been the best. He is up to 70 overall. He is progressing. He is the number 2 prospect in baseball. The funny thing is, he was a 3rd round pick 2 seasons ago, and he is still number 2 after the 2nd straight year here. He's a better pitcher than he is a hitter right now, and his hitting stats aren't great, so we don't really need to pay any attention to them. But I am training in those categories, especially for contact, just to get his average up. Eddie Rodriguez is our number 2 prospect in our organization, and he is a top 50 prospect as well. 67 overall. He is beat potential. He is 19 years old, so he's got a lot of room to grow, and he's ranked number 22 in the majors as far as top 100 prospects go. We have to go a little further down to get to the next prospect who is in our top 100. Calvin Almquist would have been number 80, but we just traded him away. And Bob Engel is number 78. He is improving. I thought he would be improving a little faster because he started out at 72 overall, and now he's up to 73. I do like his attributes, but his fielding is just absolutely terrible. I'm hoping that he will get better naturally in that area. Cam Smith is our number 4 prospect. We traded for him in the offseason, and he's not doing as well as what I thought. 211, and he's 25 years old. He is getting up there in age as far as a prospect goes, so I definitely need to see him hit a whole lot better. I look at his attributes, and they don't say that he's a bad hitter, so I think he's just having maybe a down season. Dan Stoddard is the next top prospect. He's number 5, and I think we do need a better farm system here because our top 5 prospect, number 5 here, is only C potential. I do really like Dan Stoddard. That isn't a slight on him, but I do need more A's and B potentials in our farm system. The rest of our top 10 kind of is average at best. Sean Bichard is finally a top 10 prospect of ours. He was drafted in the 5th round back in season 1, and I haven't talked about him since. His walks per 9 at the time was very, very low. I believe it was like 26. It's up to 36 now, and that's the area that he really did need to improve before I really started to give him a good look. One move I am going to make here in our organization is moving Cam Smith down to AA. I want to get him some more confidence, so I'm going to put him up against lesser pitching. Hopefully he gets his bat right then. And then I will move Dan Stoddard up to AAA, and he will play third base at the AAA level. And I will make sure to backfill his spot in the infield as well. But another guy I did have in this series that I am very, very excited about, who is now at the MLB level, number 1 overall pick, Oliver Gonzalez. Look at these stats. 304, on base of 385. I mean, he is just absolutely killing it through his first 150 at-bats. and he is the front runner for Rookie of the Year right now. I think the one area that he does need to improve is his power. If he can get that up, I mean, we're talking batting title potential. I think he can really get there. Esteban Calzado was our first pick in this series altogether, and he is up to 81 overall at only 20 years old. Now, he is having a bit of a down year, 5.20 ERA, 151 whip. His earned runs, he's going to surpass those of last year. And one thing that is not great right now, those strikeouts per 9. He's striking out about 1.5 guys less than what he did last year. And then there's Mariano Castro, who we acquired in the offseason of Season 1. Now, we've developed him for a year in the minors, then played him the last couple of years, and he was an all-star last year. And he has been really good in sim. I don't know why, but when we control him, it seems like that all goes out the window. Elvis Esparza, the 18-year-old we acquired in the offseason. And, you know, I was really not banking on him having this monster year. I knew he was a good contact hitter with not much power. He's doing okay this year. 233 with a 307 on base percentage. He leads the team in steals, and I believe he's 8th in the MLB in steals with 16. So one thing I want to highlight is I want to, you know, kind of make sure our farm system is a little better. I kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, and I like to use this search finder, a player finder, to kind of find players that are sitting in free agency. You know, I do find a couple of guys here like Matt Mars. Now, this isn't a guy that's a high potential, but I want to at least make our minor league teams better. And picking up guys like this that have position versatility, that can actually play good baseball, are interesting to me. He is only 19 years old. Obviously, he doesn't have a major league future, but he's just an interesting guy I picked up. But one interesting guy I want to pick up is Jeffrey Watson. Now, what I do when I sign guys when their attributes go down like this, I usually adjust them back to what they were. And I will talk about that a little bit with Watson, because after I adjust him back, Matt Mars looks like this. He is 62 overall in a D. This is a lifelong minor leaguer. But then Jeffrey Watson is 70 overall. So I do adjust his potential to match his overall. And I want to see what he looks like, because I look at his attributes and I think that he could have a major league future as probably a platoon guy. And those guys are important to pick up. And here he is in his first minor league action with us. 66 clutch, 59 power versus right. Pretty good attributes to start out with, 57 vision. So I'm thinking that, you know, when I get some of these guys, maybe they outperform their potential and then the game will give them a potential boost. That is kind of the hope. But here he is now in his second AB after a fly out to left field. 0 for 1 today facing Mason Erla, outside slider. And he was a third-round pick back in 2027. I guess the team that drafted him let him go into free agency or failed to sign him, and he gets a hit in his first professional debut with us, and that is a single to right field. Now, I want to show you something, because he was taken out of the game, but for some reason, it still gave us a scenario where he was at the plate, which was very, very interesting. So I decided to play this at bat. He's 2 for 4 today. So a really good debut with us, and here in the bottom of the 10th inning, he will walk in his 5th AB. So 3 at-bats, reach base, or 5 at-bats, reach base 3 times. And the Flying Squirrels do lose here at the AA level, but I did want to see what he looked like, and I am going to keep my eye on him. So now we focus on the MLB level, and we are 38 and 52. My goal for this season was to make a run at the playoffs. I'm not sure if we'll get there, but I am definitely going to try. And we will be facing the San Francisco Giants in kind of a full game coverage today. And this is what the Giants look like. The big change that they've made, Brenton Doyle, they acquired him via trade. He is hitting 2 in their lineup. They acquired Jonah Bride as well. They still have Matt Chapman. And Willy Adames is signed to that big contract. Remember, he signed the largest contract in Giants history in real life in 2025, going into the 2025 season. And we will face Keaton Wynn on the mound. And they will face a lineup that's hitting pretty well here to start the month of July. So here we go. Here is Esteban Calzado, our first pick in this entire series, looking to get a win today. And here is Brenton Doyle coming over from the Rockies. He grounds out to first, and that will be the second out of the inning. That brings up Willy Adames here, hitting .240 on the year, and it's just a tapper back to the mound. Good play by Calzado, throw onto first, and we have a 1-2-3 inning to start out this game. Sal Frelick hitting .290 on the year since acquiring him last episode, and he just hits this one to left field, and Elliot Ramos gets a bad jump on that, and it falls down for a leadoff single. Here is Oliver Gonzalez hitting .304 this year as he hits this one to left center, and that one will get down as well. Frelick was on the move. He will make it all the way to third, and now we have runners on the corners with no outs. That's going to bring up Terrence Madlock to the plate. He gets one over the middle of the plate. This is a ground ball to second, and they will turn two, but a runner will come across to score, and it is now a 1-0 ball game. Here is Fritz De La Cruz, who has been hitting pretty well, so I've had him at the top of the lineup at least through the middle of the season. He took over for Ben Rice, who was struggling, hitting below 200, and he flies out to center field. Elliot Ramos at the plate now in the top of the second inning. Esteban Calzado gets him to swing and miss. Jonah Bride is next. The slider over the middle cannot touch that pitch either, as that brings up Matt Chapman to the plate, hitting .259, and he hits one down the right field line. That will get all the way to the wall, and that's Jesús Sánchez who plays it off the wall, gets it into the cutoff man, and it will be a 2-out double here for Chapman. That brings up Patrick Bailey to the plate here, hitting .248 on the season. Outside two-seamer, and that one will be hit to opposite field, and it will be a single down the third base line, and it will be a 1-1 ball game as Calzado does eventually get out of that inning. But that brings us to the bottom of the second inning. Here's Jesús Sánchez, who we acquired 2 episodes ago. We've made 2 big trades this year as Sánchez beats that one out, acquiring Sánchez along with Sal Frelick. But here is Weston Wilson, who comes to the plate, ground ball to second, and they do get out of that inning. Top 3 now. Esteban Calzado in a little bit of a jam here. Runners on first and second. Here is Jonah Bride, who hits this one hard to short. And there is the kid, Elvis Esparza, who throws on to first, and he gets us out of that inning. And here's Esparza at the plate to lead off the third, and he hits one up the middle. That one will be a single, as we have some speed on first base as the top of our lineup comes up. Sal Frelick can run as well. He's in the upper 80s with his speed, and he hits one well to the left side. That one gets to the outfield, and now we have runners aboard here, no outs, as that brings up Oliver Gonzalez hitting .308 now. That average is climbing as he hits one to the left center gap. That gets down. It will score one, and with Frelick, he has great speed. Rounding third, he heads home, and it is a 3-1 ball game off of the bat of the front runner for Rookie of the Year. But Terrence Madlock, since returning from injury, has been hitting the ball well. He comes through with a single. The runner will hold that third base, but the top 3 guys in our order are hitting the ball great so far to open this game. But this is not over. Here is Fritz De La Cruz, a slow roller to second, a flip on to short, and it will not be in time for the double play, and another run comes across the plate. That brings up Ryan O'Hearn, who is struggling a little bit this year. Chop at a third, double play ball, but we get 3 runs in that inning. So top 4 now as Sam Huff comes to the plate, and Esteban Calzado just misses his spot, and that's a dead center home run into the target. And that is .443 off the bat of Sam Huff. That's his first home run of the season, by the way. So we are back to a 1-run game here as Brendan Rodgers, who's having a pretty good year, this season, singles up the middle. As he starts out this inning with a leadoff single, as that brings up Jesús Sánchez. I moved him down to the 7th spot to add some power to the bottom of the lineup, and he does get clanked on the back. And now it looks like the skipper is going to the bullpen, as that will be the end of the day for their starter, as they bring in Trevor McDonald with runners on first and second. No outs in this inning. Here is Weston Wilson, who has really been a rumor name in the trade mill, and he grounds out to short, and it's a double play. Wilson is just not playing well this year. He's been our starter at third base for all 3 seasons before this one, and he just continues his kind of slow start here in season 4 into the All-Star break. Bottom 5 now. Sal Frelick comes to the plate and gets his 3rd hit of the ball game. 3 for 3 for Frelick. That was actually a bad pitch. You know you're hitting well when you hit a curveball that low straight up the middle. Gonzalez also 2 for 2 in this one. Slow roller to second. They try to go to second for the double play, and Frelick has enough speed to beat it out. So Gonzalez and Frelick have been aboard all 3 at-bats today, and Madlock continues this hot top of the order. Bases loaded, no outs, bottom 5. Fritz De La Cruz to the plate, hitting .274. He's hitting like .350 with runners in scoring position, and McDonald throws an inside curveball way too inside, and a run scores. Ryan O'Hearn to the plate now. This is a slow roller to second base, and it's so slow that the second baseman has to go to first for the out, and it's 6-3, still 1 out in the inning. Here comes Brendan Rodgers to the plate now. 1 for 2 today. He turns on this one, and this one gets down in center field. Brenton Doyle, who is a Gold Glove center fielder, cannot get to that one, and it is now 7-3. A big 5th inning here for the team, as that brings up Weston Wilson. Here with 2 outs, he cannot bring a run home, but we have the 4-run lead here as we move on to the top of the 7th. Here is Trent Thornton, and Trent Thornton is aging. He is 33 years old, but he has been really, really good for us since we got him back in free agency 2 years ago, and he gets us through 2 innings as he brings us to the 9th inning, and we bring in Dennis Santana here to get us the win, and he faces Victor Robles and will get him to swing and miss at that outside slider, and we get the 7-3 victory here right before the MLB draft. But I do want to highlight how hot our top of the order is. Sal Frelick's hitting .309 on the year. He went 4 for 4 with 3 runs. Oliver Gonzalez went 3 for 5. He's hitting .313. And then Terrence Madlock went 2 for 4. That's 6 runs with our top 3 hitters in the lineup, all hitting above 300. That's something that we haven't had in this series at all. And they all have at least had limited at-bats with the Swarm, so I am excited to see what the rest of this season will look like. We end up winning the next game as well, and it was an absolute blowout. We scored 10 runs. Ben Rice actually scores a couple of runs in that game, and we get the win. Now Kevin Hopp facing the Cardinals. We end up beating them 2-0 in game number 2. And then Elijah Vaughn, the one lefty in our rotation, he ends up getting a loss in this one. We lose 8-0, but we win 2 out of 3. Then we face the Rockies in the next series, and the Rockies are, along with us, at the bottom of the NL West at this point. And here is Weston Wilson, and Weston Wilson with an opportunity to tie this ball game up. He just cannot come through. He's had many opportunities with runners in scoring position, and he has just done things like that. Fly out to center, ground ball to short. That's kind of what he does. Here's Elvis Esparza now facing Calvin Fauché on the mound, and he hits one slow up the middle, and that one will end this game, so we can't win this one late as the Rockies get the best of us today. And like I said, the Weston Wilson thing, I don't know what's going on with him. But we end up winning the next game 9-3 as we are nearing that July 9th date. And that means it is time for the MLB Draft. And we have drafted pretty well so far in this series. We have yet to find a generational prospect in this entire series. Like, we have not found one at all. So we'll see if there is one in this draft as we pick number 8 overall. So let's talk about the guys that I have scouted for the number 8 pick. Johnny Francisco, I wanted to talk about him. He is the number 1 ranked MLB prospect and number 1 on our board. I fully expect him to go number 1 overall, at least in the top 3, so I'm not expecting him to be available. Arlen Sanchez is interesting. He is the number 26 ranked prospect in the MLB rankings, number 3 on our scouts board. I do really like that he has a high walks per 9 and hits per 9. His fastball can get to the mid 90s. He has good potential, and I want to get a guy at the top of this draft that has a high floor and a high ceiling. Jordy Maeda is interesting. He could be up to 77 overall. Now, his attributes look elite. The only thing that does worry me, the walks per 9 could end up being really low. And hopefully that's not on the low end of that 37 to 52 that's presently there. It also could be, 52. That would be the high end, and that wouldn't be great. That would definitely take some developing in the minors to get that attribute up. Daisuke Arabu is 15 on the MLB board, 14 on our scouts board, but personally, I have him a whole lot higher. I think he can end up being a mid 70s overall to start out as an 18-year-old, and I really like everything he brings to the table. I don't think he has any weaknesses at this moment. His hits per 9 is probably going to start out between 40 and 55, but if you have high walks per 9, that's really good in sim, so I do really like him a lot. And then Koji Yamada is kind of the distant guy I have here that I could draft. There are some position players, but I don't think they're elite enough for me and have a pretty, I would say, low floor. And that's Josh Devine, one of those guys, 55 to 70 overall. The only thing is I want guys that can contribute sooner rather than later. Corey Fuller was one of those guys I was scouting too. Our scouts really like him, but I don't want a guy that's like a 3-year project. I want a guy that at most can take maybe 1 year to develop in the minors. So we do have a couple of options. So with the number 1 overall pick, the Angels will select Nicholas Aguila, 19-year-old starting pitcher. He was number 5 draft rank. I did not think he would drop to us, so I didn't even highlight him. And he ends up going number 1 overall. You can see his attributes here. He's actually decent, but I wouldn't say he's a great pick there. The number 2 pick, the Arizona Diamondbacks will select Jordy Maeda. Maeda, to me, is a top 3 pitcher in this draft. He has a very high floor. He's going to be somewhere between 62 and 77 overall, but stamina, hits per 9, and strikeouts per 9, it's elite. The only concern was that walks per 9. With the number 3 overall pick, Dan Schroff, number 8 MLB prospect, 54 to 69 overall right now. Could be up to 90 potential though. Really good contact, good vision and discipline. His defense though is his biggest weakness, but he can run pretty well. Corey Fuller goes number 4 overall to Texas, and I thought that he would have been a guy that could have been a top pick for us if we were back in like season 1 or 2, but here in season 4, I'm looking for somebody with a higher floor. Josh Devine goes number 6, and now we make it to pick 7, and somehow Johnny Francisco is still on the board. The number 1 MLB ranked prospect and number 1 swarm prospect is still here, and I am absolutely floored. I cannot believe he fell this far. Now, a few episodes ago, I compared Johnny Francisco to Sean Breeding. Last year, Sean Breeding was a generational college prospect. He started out 83 overall, and Johnny Francisco has the opportunity to start out at 83 overall as well. That would be his ceiling. But potential, 84 to 98. I mean, this is like a can't miss prospect. I think about the other two, but I would be absolutely crazy. So the pick is in With our first round pick, number 8 overall, we will select Johnny Francisco, pitcher out of Arizona. This is as home run of a pick that you can get. He has elite traits all across the board. He's got a very high floor, meaning he's going to start out with a very high overall to begin his MLB career, his professional career. And then he has a high ceiling, somewhere between 84 and 98 potential. That's an absolute home run pick. Dice Arabu ends up dropping to 13 to Tampa Bay. I know he's going to be good because Tampa Bay selects him. They always draft super well. Arlen Sanchez falls to the 20s. He goes to the Detroit Tigers. And now we make it to round 2. We have a couple of draftable prospects that I do really, really like. James Eden is interesting. He is not ranked, and we found him via Discovery, but he is a defensive outfielder. My pick here would have been Blake Zorko, and he ends up going the pick before us. He had a very good, just all-around game, and I was going to probably select him with that pick. But now I'm thinking that maybe we should get a hitter here. Derek Sinecor is interesting. I think he is probably going to be maybe a high C potential. If we're lucky, it'll be a B. But I do really like his hitting attributes and the fact that he is a good fielder and a good fielding infielder. I do need to, make sure we do end up getting middle infield prospects in specific. We don't have too many of them that I'm super, super high on. We have decent ones, but I think we just need better options. Jason Gill is there. Edmund Charlton is also here. These are guys that I scouted. But to me, this draft didn't have great position players. But I think there are a couple of guys I am looking for later in the draft, like Patrick Burkett. We'll see how far he falls. Hopefully he's there for our 3rd round pick. But really what I want to emphasize here is I want to get a guy that's going to be a good bat that I can develop, but is also sound defensively. Burkett is definitely that, but I think here in the 2nd round that we could be reaching for him a little bit. So I decide to go with a guy that has a higher floor. And with our 2nd round pick, we go with Derek Sinecor. Is he going to be a high potential guy? Absolutely not. But is he going to be a high floor guy? Meaning, is he going to be a guy that can contribute? I think so. Hopefully he comes in with a high C, low B potential. That's the dream. And kind of a low C overall. So we make it to the 3rd round, and here is Patrick Burnett. He falls all the way down. Burkett, he falls all the way down. What I like about him the most is that he is an elite defensive outfielder, something we do not have as far as prospects go in our farm at the current moment. I do take a look at Alexi Nieve. He's good, but I feel like he's going to fall later in this draft. So with this selection, I will select Patrick Burkett, 18 years old, by the way. So that definitely is more appealing. Like, he's going to have some time to develop, especially as a 3rd round pick. There's really no high expectation for him. As we make it to the 4th round here and a few more guys are on our board, I thought this draft was not particularly deep. So I do have a few guys I did have in Discovery, and this year in Discovery, it didn't bring back a ton of guys. So I really had to, scout individual players a little closer. Alex Nieve is interesting, very, very good hitter. And I think that he's got some offensive upside. Only 20% scouted, so that could be smokescreen. Who knows? But I'm going to just take a flyer. It's the 4th round, and Alexi Nieve will be the pick here. Now, he is 22 years old. I don't think his potential is going to be very good, to be honest with you. But hopefully his overall is low 70s, and his potential is in the 70s too. In the 5th round, we have 0 players that are scouted that are still left on the board. We kind of did a poor job in scouting this year, mostly because I was focused on more of the MLB level rather than, finding these gems in the draft. The draft is still important, but I do want to make sure I nail the top 3 picks more than anything. So now in the 5th round, I decide to just take a flyer on relief pitcher. Alejandro Chavez is interesting because he's a lefty. We don't have many lefties that are in the organization that are relief pitchers. So I decided to go with him. There is really no real reason, but he's got potentially an 80 overall potential, but that's likely going to be in the 70s. And then with our final pick, Steven Figueroa is here, another guy that's just like Chavez, but a righty. So we decide to select him in the final round. And that is going to conclude our draft here in season number 4. But I think Francisco definitely set the tone. He's going to be really good. I do want to highlight I did make one mistake here, because in the 4th round, I forgot to add Chad Waddle to our board, because look at his attributes. He looks like he's going to be an absolute monster. And I forgot to add him to the board. I had him scouted and I had him noted to pick. Forgot to add him to the board. I just completely forgot about him. But look at his bats. I mean, that is some elite stuff. And we absolutely whiff on him. And he was a switch hitter at 19 years old, 6'5". So now we move into the All-Star break, where, you know, we last year had 2 All-Stars. We'll see what happens this year. And last year we had Ben Rice in the home run derby. This year Shohei Ohtani ends up winning it. So congratulations to him. But now we move on to the All-Star game, where we'll see where the rest of the MLB kind of views Salt Lake City. And I'm looking at the starting pitchers. I'm actually shocked that Brandon Woodruff doesn't make it, but Mariano Castro makes it for the 2nd straight season. He has half the saves he had a year ago, but almost has the same amount of blown saves. But if you look at his numbers, his whip is slightly lower and his ERA is higher. He makes the All-Star game for the 2nd straight year. I'm actually pretty surprised about that. So how about in the field? Do we have any All-Stars? And as I go down this list, I don't see anybody. So our lone All-Star is going to be Mariano Castro. I'm actually really disappointed in that. I think, you know, what they look at is the amount of at-bats, and Terrence Madlock did not have enough at-bats to make the All-Star game for the 2nd straight year. And then also, you know, we have Oliver Gonzalez, who is the front runner for Rookie of the Year. He does not make the All-Star game. That's unfortunate. But here is Mariano Castro in his 1 inning of work. This is the bottom of the 6th inning. And now he faces Rob Buckley, drafted in the 1st round back in season 1 by the Mariners. He hits one to center field. Then Jackson Merrill attempts a diving catch, and that gets all the way to the wall and ends up being a triple. I don't know why you would take that chance in a 0-0 ball game. Makes no sense. Keep the ball in front of you. Randy Arozarena at the plate now. Ground ball up the middle, and that is going to bring in a run. I do not think that was Mariano Castro's fault. He will get credited for the earned run, but that kind of sucks because that definitely shouldn't have brought in a run. Luis Rengifo, who comes to the plate now. Fly ball to Merrill. This time he takes the right angle and ends up getting to it. So that is the only inning of work in the All-Star game, and the AL end up getting the victory in this one. But not much to say here since, you know, obviously we didn't have many All-Stars at all. And I was very, very disappointed by that. I really thought that, you know, either one of Oliver Gonzalez or Madlock would have made the All-Star game. So as we near the end of this episode and get into the end of July, I do still want to compete because I see our offense is absolutely tearing the cover off of the ball. But I do need to improve third base. Weston Wilson is just not cutting it. The one thing that he has that's a big advantage, though, is his position versatility. He can play everywhere on the field, anywhere you need him. And we are 43-54. We are about 6 games out of that last wild card spot. So there is still room to make a run. We have a little over 65 games to go this year. And I think that this team is good enough to make a run. I just feel like we need a piece to just give us one extra boost here towards the end of the season. And we'll see what happens at the trade deadline. So that will do it here for this episode. Let me know what you guys think of the draft. I think Johnny Francisco is a home run pick, and we'll reveal his ratings along with the other draft picks next episode. But I am looking forward to seeing what this team can do. Can we go on a run? So hit subscribe, hit that like button, stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.